right, here we go. It's Wednesday, January 28th. Welcome back to the Damon Bruce Show here on Damon Bruce Plus. Great to have you. Hit like and subscribe. Thanks so much for being here. We got an awful lot of stuff to get into today. The biggest story in the football world is the snubbing of Bill Belichick, and we are going to get there. But right now, no one gets snubbed at Ike's. You get a delicious sandwich every single time you walk in. I hope there is an Ike's near you. Go visit an Ike's. Check it out. That's how great the restaurants are. If you live in a delivery area, even better. Oh, my God, it can come right to your door. How great is that? And let me tell you, my man Ike has got a very nice special running right now for you. $49 off a catering order of $250 or more. I know that there's a lot of big sporting events coming up. I know that there's one coming up on a Sunday that is so super that you can't even really attach it to any advertisement without the NFL wanting to charge you an awful lot. But if you are looking to have the best football viewing party that you can have, you know, there's been a lot of pizza and wings throughout the years. Show up with something new. $250 worth of catering from Ike's gets you $49 off when you use promo code SAVE49. This is also a great thing to do for the office in which you work in, for the big party that you're planning. Anywhere you got people gathering to eat and eat well, go and check out Ike's and Ike's Catering. And again, if it's just for you, make sure you sign up for that Love Rewards program and start eating yourself towards free sandwiches. Our friends at the Dubliner. Oh, my God. Love you guys. Great, great bar in San Francisco. Dubliner West Portal. Get yourself there. Look, if you're coming to town for the Super Bowl, want to just go to a cool, chill local bar filled with locals who are not tech bro douchebags, I mean, Dubliner West Portal is where you need to go. Great bar, great people, great place to watch a game, have a conversation, enjoy some company of other actual people in life. Go to the Dubliner West Portal. You'll be happy that you did. And when you want to enjoy some winning, get yourself over to Sleeper. Thanks so much to Sleeper for sponsoring Damon Bruce Plus. Oh, yes, a great place to go and get your Super Bowl thoughts officially on record, if you know what I mean. Prop bets, everything that you could possibly want from the fastest growing fantasy site on the planet, Sleeper. Check it out and use promo code Damon to get a $100 match up to your first deposit of $100, and just click right on the link that is in the top of today's very video that you are watching right now. Thank you so very much for doing all of that. Great to see so many locals in here. We got Red Jet, we got Katie, we got Chef A. Oh, no, we got somebody on jury duty. Oh, my God, the postman is off to jury duty. Good luck, Scott. That's never fun. But, you know, go ahead, do your civic duty, my man. That is the right thing to do. And look, what can I tell you? Wait. We got RIPs here. What's everything okay? Everything okay? What's going on? Everything okay? Everything good? We're Otis good? We're good? We're good? Okay, good. All right, we're good. Cheers. I start seeing RIPs. You get me you get me upset. You get me worried. Sean says, "Can we get some angry Damon today?" Nah, I'm not that angry here, but I got to tell you, I could use some explanations. It's my wife's birthday, so I'm going to be in a good mood all day long. Happy times here in the Bruce household tonight. Along with the being Humo Day, of course. That's right. Look, all I can tell you is that over the past, 18 months or so, the media has had its fun at the expense of Bill Belichick. Oh, what belly laughs we have had from the NFL showing no interest to him taking a college job, which everyone said that's an odd fit. And sure enough, it was a disastrous first year for Bill Belichick in Chapel Hill. It did not work out well at North Carolina, so everyone had their schadenfreude over that. Then, of course, there is the very strange relationship with his girlfriend that before you even start getting to the age gap in between them, it's just weird. It's odd. It's like she groomed him. It's just a weird relationship with a power dynamic that is just unlike anything that Bill Belichick has shown us about him and his life. And look, after all the sneering, after all the laughing, after all the tugs we've had on Superman's cape, we just saw something go down, right? We just saw that the NFL and its infinite wisdom of its voters for the Hall of Fame has decided that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. Okay. Well, the universal reaction to that just shows you that even while we're tugging on Superman's cape and having a laugh and making fun of grandpa dating a girl young enough to be his granddaughter and all of that stuff, when it comes to like actual sports, for the most part, we want to keep it a buck, right? We want to keep it 100. And there is 100% agreement, but for the folks who were sitting in the room who actually had the vote, that Bill Belichick should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, look, let's just get into what a Hall of Fame is. Before we even talk about Bill Belichick and him belonging in a Hall of Fame on the first ballot, let's just talk about what a Hall of Fame really is. And it's really about one thing only: precedent. It's about precedent. These qualifications, should you reach them, mean you are in. You don't have these milestones. That means you're going to be on the outside and not let in. There is some gatekeeping that obviously goes into all football voting because they only allow X amount of guys in every year, where in Major League Baseball, like if 35 legitimate Hall of Famers came up in 1 year, they could and elect them all. They really could. There's no amount of we can only take so many that football has applied to this situation. And that could be a part of what went wrong here. And we'll get into that. Mike Sando brought up some very interesting points. But more than anything else, any Hall of Fame is about precedent. You want to frame your game historically accurately, and to be in the Hall of Fame, you must meet these standards to join this group discussion. It is safe to say that no coach, by wins or championships, has ever merited first ballot Hall of Fame inclusion the way that Bill Belichick has. There should never be another coach elected first ballot if Bill Belichick does not qualify for that. So are we ready to go forward with that precedent, that there is no such thing as a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach coming from the NFL? That's going to apply to you, Andy Reid. I guess John Harbaugh, should you make that status someday, that's going to apply to you. Jim Harbaugh, no. But, you know, this is kind of ridiculous. Now, I've seen the number one retort, the number one response is, well, Spygate, Deflategate. This is kind of where we get into Barry Bonds comparisons. You know, we got two sports who have shunned the best ever to do it in the name of, well, I think something suspicious happened. Well, that something suspicious that happened to Bill Belichick was actually so proven suspicious that it cost the Patriots a first-round draft pick. Bill Belichick was fined a big sum of money by Roger Goodell, and the Patriots were fined a big sum of money. And again, a draft pick was stripped from them. So punishment served for something that is still kind of undefined how much really happened or what happened or how much it actually mattered. And I can tell you, much like Barry Bonds, there was a Hall of Fame career before any element of suspicion, and there was a level of success after the element of suspicion. That means whatever you thought were the in question years, they were breezed by excellence no matter what anyways. You know, there is a similarity there. There really is. Although, you know, Barry never did test positive for anything. They never tested positive for Spygate. He never, ever did anything that is by the rule book not allowed to do. And that is the gray area that makes the Bond situation so mind-numbingly painful. There's also the element of two guys who were staggeringly prickly to like everyone. And this is an example of you absolutely, reap the crops of the seeds that you plant. And, there are a lot of people who didn't vote for Barry Bonds because he wasn't nice to them. And apparently there is an element of people not voting for Bill Belichick because he might not have been nice to them. And to that crowd, all I can say is, you sanctimonious douchebags, do you think you matter that much? That's ridiculous. Let me tell you, I don't care how Barry Bonds treated you or didn't give you a quote or wasn't friendly during some interview that was totally disposable. He wasn't there to do that. Sure, it's a part of the job, and you can make your life easier by doing that part of your job well, but it should not matter. It should not matter. Barry Bonds could have physically spit in my face. If you ask me, should he be in the Hall of Fame? The answer is yes. Do I like him? No, but that is irrelevant to the conversation of does he belong in the Hall of Fame? Again, whether Bill Belichick was surly to you or not is irrelevant to this conversation. And what we have here, more than anything else, is we have a vendetta. I even looked this up because I wanted to be dictionary right when I label this vendetta. Vendetta is known as a blood feud. And what's odd about this whole thing, too, is that Robert Kraft is up for one of the same 3 spots that Bill Belichick was up for. And there is, without a doubt, a blood feud going on between those two guys after their post-Patriot days. But vendetta is dictionary defined as an often prolonged series of retaliatory, vengeful, or hostile acts or exchange of such acts waged in personal vendetta against those who opposed his nomination. I mean, it actually includes the word nomination. This is a Hall of Fame nomination, right? Well, this is what is going on. This is Bill Polian. Now, I want to read some things here because we want to get it all right, okay? First of all, Bill Belichick had to get a call from someone at the Hall of Fame to let him know you are not a first ballot Hall of Famer. How would you like to have been the person who had to make that phone call, right? Oh, that's a tough phone call to hop on the other line of. And apparently, Bill Belichick said, I guess 6 Super Bowls isn't enough. And he's actually selling himself short there because he has 8 Super Bowls if you include the 2 that he won as New York Giants defensive coordinator. He's got a coaching record of 333 up, 178 down. He is just second to Don Shula, all-time career victories, and he's got more Super Bowl wins than anyone who ever called themselves an NFL head coach. And again, I guess that's not enough. Okay. Let me read this to you. The Hall's voting committee is composed mostly of veteran NFL reporters, but also includes football figures such as former general manager Bill Polian and Tony Dungy, both of whom are Hall of Famers. Multiple sources told ESPN that Spygate and Deflategate, the twin cheating scandals during the Patriots championship run, came up in deliberations among voters. A voter who spoke on condition of anonymity, I've always had trouble with that word, said that Polian, an ardent Robert Kraft supporter, and this is a former general manager of the Bills and the Colts, who were the 2 teams that the Patriots kept putting their cigarettes out in the middle of their foreheads. Basically, the chief Patriots rival during their dynasty told voters that he believed Bill Belichick should have to, quote, wait a year, end quote, before induction as penance for Spygate. All right, Bill Polian, if you really did that, You know what? Put your name on it and stand on it. But the exact opposite has happened because what I don't think the Belichick 11, again, that's what they're calling the people who didn't vote for Bill Belichick, and there could be more than 11. You don't know, but he needed 40 out of 50 votes. So it only took 11 to say, no, he's not a Hall of Famer. So the Belichick 11 are being identified, and nobody now wants to be public on the wrong side of this vote based on the public reaction to this vote, which means you're a bunch of pussies. You're a bunch of cowards who wants to stand behind the no one will ever find out factor of your vote rather than being asked to justify it because, again, it's basically unjustifiable. To not vote Bill Belichick in is unjustifiable. And if you really want to park your car on the corner of Spygate and Deflategate, you have to know that the vast majority of coaches in football didn't give a shit about that. Because everyone is looking for advantages. Everyone. So that doesn't mean much in the inner sanctum of discussion, unless, again, you were a rival who feels that it directly affected your ability to win, and so you got chapped lips over the whole thing. Okay, well, in an interview with ESPN, Bill Polian denied telling fellow voters that Bill Belichick should serve a one-year penance, but the opposite story has also come out of that room. He then he said he heard fellow voters float that idea, but insisted that he didn't agree or disagree with the proposal. Bullshit. Bullshit. Like, you don't even have the guts to stand on, yeah, you were part of the discussion. Like, you will say you heard others float the idea. You won't even be like, I'm the one who brought it up. Then Polian added that he could not remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Belichick, saying he was 95% sure that he voted for the coach and the player who was most likely Greenwood. Again, not Roger Craig. But anyways, you're lying. Or you're such a fuddy-duddy old man you cannot remember the vote that you cast an hour ago. Which means either way, you can't be in the room anymore, right? Right? I mean, at some point, you got to take the keys from Grandpa because he's too old to drive the car. And if Bill Polian says, yeah, I'm about 95% sure that I voted, I can't really remember, what he's trying to say is, I definitely didn't vote for Bill Belichick. Stand on it. Put your name on it. Sign it, you coward. I mean, that is just shameful to basically conduct a fatwa against Bill Belichick and then come out of that meeting like, I have no idea how that happened. I don't understand it. Does anyone fall for that? Who has fallen for that? No way. And let me tell you, Bill Polian, you are absolutely at the age of stubborn old goat who would have brought this up. So don't pretend, dude. Don't pretend. Mike Sando, who I told you about earlier. Mike Sando is one of the best NFL reporters out there. He is dialed in. He's not just dialed in to people, but he's dialed into processes. And he said this could be a process problem. In other words, they wanted to make sure that so many guys had a chance to get in this Hall of Fame round, even though 3 could be let in, that there are a number of people who just assumed that Bill Belichick was going to get so many votes that they didn't have to cast their own first ballot vote for Bill Belichick because it was fait accompli, and their votes that they put elsewhere were the deciding votes in Bill Belichick not getting in. And even though they absolutely believe Bill Belichick a first ballot Hall of Famer, they thought, well, he's not going to need help to clear that bar from my one vote, so I'm going to put my votes in another direction. Connor, and I believe that there might be some truth to that. There absolutely could be some truth to that. It's like when you were in elementary school and they were voting for, class clown and most successful. And you figure, well, that kid's got that wrapped up, so I'm not even going to vote for that kid. I'm going to give it to another kid. And then the kid who's supposed to win it didn't win it because too many votes got spread around. Like, I get that. But Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated, who's a really good writer for Sports Illustrated, said very simply, writing an article about this, if it's a process issue, fix it tonight. If it's an issue of misunderstanding, correct it now. If it's an issue of personal scorekeeping and score settling, weed out the bad actors before it's too late. And it sure feels like this time around, it's too late. I don't like Bill Belichick. Has nothing to do with whether or not he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is, of course, a first ballot Hall of Famer. The same way the best of all time in all sports should all be first ballot Hall of Famers. If this is a meritocracy, which it absolutely is, merit, precedent matters to Hall of Fames, this is ridiculous. Again, how can Major League Baseball have a Hall of Fame and its all-time home runs leader is not a part of it? Merit alone means he should be in there. Well, I don't like how he did it. Well, he never broke any rules that were written down by anyone. So it really doesn't matter how you interpret the era or what you do or do not like. There are 0 positive steroid tests. Steroids were never outlawed by baseball. I understand that there are a lot of hurt feelings along the way, but fuck your feelings. They don't matter. They're irrelevant. The man with the most home runs is in. Duh. The man with the most Super Bowls and the second most wins in the history of coaching is not in. Come on. Now, of course, he's going to get in, but to deny him a first ballot is an absolute dark moment for the Hall of Fame. And you want to talk about how Halls of Fame have done more to cost their sports credibilities than actual than actually buoy the sports history. This is what is wrong with it. This is like not to get political again, but this is basically, the current administration going into Smithsonian's and making sure that all of these historical moments that shed a bad light on America's past are sort of whitewashed over. That's what this is. You're doing the museum a disservice by not even acknowledging, yeah, there are some suspicious shit that happened around here, but you know what? It happened. All the stats count. We kept every single dollar spent on tickets to these games. No one was refunded their original ticket purchase price because you were dealt a scam that day, not an actual result. None of that has ever happened. It's one thing to not vote for Bill Belichick, but then it's another thing entirely to lie about it because the public pressure on you is coming from all sides. And that's what Bill Polian and the group that didn't vote for him are feeling today. What do they say? They're going to dox these voters? They should be. Now, I was in this with Barry Bloom, who is a Hall of Fame voter. I like Barry an awful lot. Okay, Barry Bloom was a guy who covered an awful lot of baseball, and he knew Barry Bonds well. He got on interviews with Barry Bonds well, and I just said everyone who didn't cast their first ballot vote for Bill Belichick should have to give a presentation on NFL Network on why they didn't vote for him. Justify it. If you feel so strongly, if you're that against the grain of observable reality, you should have to justify it. Barry wrote, nobody has to explain their vote, Damon. It's their vote, and they have the right to it. I hear this argument with the Baseball Hall of Fame all the time. If you do or don't vote for so or so, you should lose your vote. No, you shouldn't. It's your vote, whether you like it or not. Barry, I never said anyone should lose their vote. But I do think that accountability and explanation are good things. And I would like to see it. I would absolutely like to see it. I want to justify, explain it to me like I'm a 7-year-old, why you think Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach. If you are going to plant yourself on the corner of Spygate, Deflategate, say it. Say it. Put your name on it. Just like you put your name on that vote thinking that your name was never going to come to light. You should be able to go public. And Barry even said, I'm all for public Hall of Fame voting. I publish my baseball ballot every year and write a column about it. I choose to explain it, and that's part of the process. But I don't have to explain it. Well, that's the thing. I guess if you don't feel like you did anything wrong or inappropriate, explaining it should be easy. Explaining it should be easy. You know, I'll give everyone who didn't vote for Bill Belichick a little bit of a safe space. Come here on the YouTube channel. Explain it to me. Explain it to me in a way that makes me go, all right, I at least see how you were thinking. You know, if you really do think that Spygate, Deflategate were that damaging to credibility, then okay. Okay. But I didn't like the guy. I didn't like the way he spoke to reporters. Like, that can't be a part of it. And for me to take you seriously as an actual grown-up adult in a conversation about bigger things than your feelings. It's a little nuts to me. A little nuts to me. So that is, without a doubt, story numero uno. Across sports today, I had to lead today's show with it. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Hit like and subscribe. Again, it wasn't a Niner thumbnail, but we do have a little Niner news for you here. I don't know if it's Niner news, but it's certainly news that is coming out of Cleveland. And that is Jim Schwartz, the Browns defensive coordinator, is very upset that he's not getting the Browns head coaching job and has basically told people in Cleveland he's not coming back. The Cleveland Browns hired Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator, today as their next head coach. He must have wrote a fabulous essay. Why I Want to Be the Head Coach of the Cleveland Browns by Todd Monken. They asked guys to write an essay. Will this put Schwartz in the sights of the San Francisco 49ers? And can Schwartz coach anywhere but in Cleveland next year? I believe he's got a contract. So unless they release him from his contract or trade him, I don't think Jim Schwartz can just walk out of town to go start coaching for another team the way that he's basically said, I'm angry, I'm taking my ball, and I'm going home. Again, it feels like Gus Bradley is, without a doubt, the defensive coordinator in waiting. But if an opportunity did present itself to say, let's talk to Jim Schwartz, that's a conversation that they should have. Absolutely, they should have a conversation with that guy. That guy stymies Shanahan's defense. Or excuse me, Shanahan's offense almost every single time that they play. So I could see how that would be an interesting voice to have in the room. I mean, can you make one guy an assistant head coach, another guy a defensive coordinator? Here's the thing. Why not have both? Why not have Gus Bradley and Jim Schwartz? Why not bring in all the best football minds to a coaching staff when there is no limit that can be spent on a coaching staff? Maybe Jim Schwartz won't even care what his title is. Maybe his title can be Schwartz coach. May the Schwartz be with you. He's the Schwartz coach, Coach Schwartz. And that's just, he's just going to take a spite job. Screw you, Cleveland Browns. I'm going to the Niners. A super's come in out of nowhere from Yosh Youngberg saying, what are the chances that Pearsall gets 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns next year? I would say they're somewhere around 0 to 1%. I mean, the guy who's never done anything in terms of scoring 4 touchdowns is now going to score 10. Guy who's going to go 1,500 yards. I mean, come on, let's set our goals somewhere in the realm of reality. Wouldn't that be nice? But thank you very much for the super. But come on, dude, it's between 0 and 1%. How about this? If you offer me 10 to 1 odds on that, I'll bet you right now. My $10 against your $1. That there's no way. Yeah, I think this is a very good point here. 10 touchdowns? How about playing just 10 games first? Yeah, come on. Again, if you're going to ask a question like that, please attach it to a super. Thank you very, very much. You know, another story about the Niners that was out there today, and it was offered up on Niners Nation as like, here's something that the 49ers have that a lot of teams don't have these days. And I will admit that there's a part of me that absolutely agrees with this, and there's another part of me that thinks, well, this could be part of the problem. Niners Nation did a story about how the Niners are going into year 10 of Shanahan and John Lynch together, and how rare it is that any decision-making duo is atop the organizational chart the way that these two guys are getting a decade up there without actually having won a Super Bowl. The 49ers, writes Niners Nation, they've had the same top structure now for the last 9 years with Lynch at GM and Shanahan as head coach. 2026 will be the 10th year that the 49ers have the same two guys attached at the hip. And in the modern era of football, where coaches and general managers are constantly changing, it seems like a rarity. And I will agree with that. Look, and I do think it's one of the strengths of an organization, stability. If you're asking me, like, what is part of the secret sauce that Cignetti rubbed on Indiana football, it's that he's got his assistants that stay with him year after year after year after year, and there is continuity. And in a world where everything is changing, a little bit of continuity goes a really long way, I think, towards success. At the same time, you know, two of the league's longest tenured coaches, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh, are no longer coaching their respective teams. 2 new GMs have been installed in Atlanta and in Miami. There were a total of 10 head coaching openings, which is tied for the most in NFL history in a single cycle. And there were 18 changes made at offensive coordinator. But the Niners have stability. But what if that's what's holding them back a little? You know, the truth, I really think, when you get into what they're good at, is John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have done very well in trades. They've been great in the boneyard. They've been really good in the rummage pile, in the odd lot bin. But with premium picks, they have so thoroughly screwed those up that the rest of the drafting that they've done well has been completely undercut by their inability to strike the right note in free agency or with your premium draft picks. And I'm talking day 3 and above, or excuse me, round 3 and above. That's where the Niners are at their weakest. I would love a fresh set of eyes. And again, there's no fresh set of eyes coming in before this free agency and draft cycle happen. We know that. But I really do think that something other than the both of you guys making these decisions would be better for the 49ers than allowing these two to continue to make the decisions, which, again, they've done well on the scrap heap. But right off the assembly line, they're not coming out with fresh cars that everybody wants. As a matter of fact, most of their cars are undriven, even by themselves. They draft guys and then do not play them all the time, which means you're constantly drafting guys that you think you're going to like, and then the minute football starts, we don't. That's a problem. That is a problem. So again, it's being offered as, isn't this great? And it kind of is. But it's also, I think, at the center of the Niners' biggest problem. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, has had his legs cut off by Kyle Shanahan, the general manager. Speaking of big deals, speaking of big news, we go to the NBA for the other big story in sports today that isn't Bill Belichick's first ballot Hall of Fame snub. But apparently, Giannis is ready to leave Milwaukee. He will not say trade me, but apparently the quote he is issuing is that he's ready for a new home. Isn't that sweet? He doesn't want to say trade me. What a guy. I mean, who are you fooling, dude? Go ahead. You can say it. Yosh says, I bet you, DB, Pearsall with 10-plus touchdowns next season. Deal. Consider this a bet. Oh, that was yesterday's coffee. That was cold. That was terrible. I got to bring that cup upstairs. Here's today's coffee. Fresh hot coffee. When it comes to a Giannis trade, number one, I don't think the Warriors can do it. I don't think they have the assets to present the poo-poo platter to the Milwaukee Bucks that will be better than the other poo-poo platters of options that several other NBA teams are going to put in front of them. So I don't think the Warriors have the artillery to fire at the Milwaukee Bucks to get this trade done. But for a minute, let's just say they do, and they can. They should. They should. Even though it will just change their problem more than it will catapult them back into a real championship level discussion, I think it just moves the needle of what's wrong here. They will have more star power for sure. They will have a real running buddy for Steph for sure. They will have a significant entity on their team other than Steph Curry offensively for sure, and a guy like Giannis. But then the rest of the team that is around them, I don't think will be deep enough to win anything. And you imagine Draymond is a part of that trade, right? He's out. So what do you got left? Can you really go to battle with just Steph and Giannis based on what I'm watching from the Warriors? Like, sure, why not? Go ahead. Do the deal. Try to salvage this now that it's almost officially too late. I just don't think they have the assets to do it, though. The Heat, the Knicks, and the Warriors, though, are like three teams that you're seeing being linked most directly to this actually happening. I think San Antonio might be heard from. Imagine pairing Giannis with Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio. That's pretty scary sounding to me. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Houston Rockets get involved in this. Go ahead and get Kevin Durant and Giannis on the same court together. Houston has draft capital. They've got young players they can throw back at Milwaukee that definitely Milwaukee would be more interested in than Brandon Pajemski or whatever the Warriors offer would be. I mean, I'm not trading Giannis for a couple of first rounders, Brandon Pajemski, Moses Moody, and Draymond Green. Ugh. I would not do that if I were the Milwaukee Bucks. By the way, it is Warriors at the Jazz tonight. It's Steph Curry versus Lauri Markkanen, who, again, they wouldn't trade Brandon Pajemski for when it was rumored that deal was on the table like a season ago. You could have had Markkanen right now but no, you kept Brandon cannot create anything on my own Pajemski? Ugh. That's not great. By the way, did you see your boy get one right last night? I said the Sharks were going to go into Vancouver and win 5-2. Go Sharks. Nailed it. I nailed that one. I gave you your hockey final, 5-2. Go Sharks. Macklin Celebrini. Go Sharks. Go Sharks, everybody. Celebrini had a goal and 3 assists, a 4-point game from Macklin Celebrini in his hometown of Vancouver. He now has 78 points in 51 games. This guy could win the Hart Trophy this year. He really could. The Sharks were 2 for 4 on the power play. They gave up one of their goals on a 4-on-4. They scored on a 2-man advantage. They killed a 2-man power play also in the game. Sharks are going to be at the Edmonton Oilers on Thursday. And folks, that's Macklin Celebrini versus Connor McDavid. And that is must-see hockey. It really is. So I encourage you to lean into that. I really do. If you are not catching what the Sharks are serving, what are you doing right now? This is good stuff. Look at Yosh coming in again. Macklin chance at MVP. What are the odds? I'd say the odds are good. The odds are very good. I mean, you got what's his name in Colorado right now having an incredible season. McDavid is obviously going to be a part of that conversation, but there's no one who is allowing a young team to rise around him and become weren't supposed to be in the playoffs this year to absolutely relevant the way that Macklin Celebrini is. Macklin Celebrini is the league's best teenager since like Sidney Crosby, Wayne Gretzky times. This kid is on a level with all-time hockey greatness at the very start of his career. This is the perfect way to say it. He's the future. This is the future versus the present. It kind of is. But I'm going to say this right now. Macklin Celebrini is the future and the present. I know you're trying to sell me the moniker for Celebrini versus McDavid right there. But look, this is what we're watching is incredibly special. And you know what? Here's a guy that I absolutely got to get on the channel soon here. But I love this tweet from Brodie Brazil today. I love this tweet from Brodie Brazil. Brodie, who is just a great guy. He really is. He said, I want to say something for longtime Sharks fans who currently live in the Bay Area. There's clearly already starting to be a lot more people who are getting into this team lately or getting into the sport for the very first time or getting back to their hockey fandom, and that's awesome. Please let them in the door. Help them learn the game and the rules and the team history and all the fun stuff that we all know, from the Cow Palace to the Jumbo Slide to Pavelski Payback, all of it. Be an ambassador. There's no reason to gatekeep. The sport could see another huge growth spurt in Northern California corresponding with the next era of Sharks' success. Let's make that a legacy. My least favorite fan out there is the "you don't deserve to be rooting for this team like I root for this team" fan. That's the worst. That's the worst level of fan out there. And it's funny, man. I've run into this fan time and time and time again. You know, hey, I don't like soccer. But sometimes there's a reason to say something about it, and I'll make a comment, and the whole you don't care about soccer, why don't you go away? You know who also is a terrible, terrible group of this? Cal football fans. Cal football fans, some of you absolutely suck. You know, I'm talking about Fernando Mendez. What do you know about Fernando Mendez? What do you know about Cal football? First of all, I know that if I'm talking about them, I'm one of the only human beings on the planet talking about them. So be thankful I even brought you up. You know, the who are you to talk about what I care about crowd? Those are the biggest douche nozzles of sports fans you could ever meet or be around or talk to. They're the worst. Curiosity is a good thing. Encourage it. Interest is a good thing. Encourage it. What's that Netflix show about gay hockey players? What's it called? Heated Rivalry? Is that the name of that show? So the NHL has been asked about this show's popularity, and they're like, it is bringing new people to the sport of hockey. Therefore, it's great. That's the correct response. I don't care how you got here. It's great that you're here. Welcome. This is a Zamboni machine. It clears the ice, makes it nice and smooth. Invite people in. Welcome them to your campfire. Welcome them to your dinner table. Smoke a peace pipe with everyone that you can. This makes things better. This is the right way to be a fan. Be welcoming. New here? Used to be here, but haven't been around in a long time. Now you're back. Good to see you again. It's the right way to go about fandom. It really is. You know, I want this channel to be a place where people who may not know an awful lot about sports or the Niners the way that I know them, or the Giants or the Warriors. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody that you don't belong in the conversation. Now, I'm going to tell you what, if you don't know shit and you're new here, don't try to lead the conversation. That's my job. But certainly take part in it and welcome. It's good to have you here, and hit like and subscribe and all that good shit. Thank you very, very much. You ready for a little history? Here we go. Today in history, as always, we start with happy birthdays, and we usually go in chronological order, but there is one birthday today that outranks them all. Miss Gillian, also known as Mrs. Bruce. Gillian Bruce turns, I'll tell you, she's the best looking 44-year-old woman on the planet. I love my wife so much. She is unbelievable. She is doing an unbelievable job in this life. She is crushing this life as a successful businesswoman, as a woman who has brought two little boys into the world and is just a fabulous mother. And I know that there's an awful lot to be made about girl dads. Let me tell you, there's something to be made about boy moms, and Gillian is the ultimate boy mom. She is a badass, good earning, good looking, great mother, funny, smart, awesome woman who's actually from San Francisco. I found the unicorn, and boy, does she deserve better than me. I would really like to thank her for relaxing her standards and letting me into her life. What an unbelievable woman. Happy birthday, Gillian. I love you so very, very much. And without you, I am doing this show off of my front porch. I wouldn't even know how to get on the internet. So thank you. Happy birthday to Alan Alda, 90 years old today. Was he Hawkeye? Yeah, I think, he was Hawkeye, right? Look at Michelle Haberman. There you go. She's buying Gillian a beer. Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you very, very much. Happy birthday to Greg Popovich. I mean, you want to talk about great leaders? Greg Popovich, Gillian Bruce, great leaders. Damon, can we get a passionate fuck ICE? Yes, absolutely. They're awful. Secret Service. It's like a Gestapo. It really is. By the way, the old Christy Nome, I was just following orders. Yeah, that didn't work at Nuremberg either, toots. How about this? It's a day for rappers being born. Rakim of Eric B. and Rakim, right? Rakim is 58 years old today. Rick Ross is 50 years old today. Joey Fatone of the Backstreet Boys, or one of those, I think he's a Backstreet Boy. He's 49. Elijah Wood is 45. He was the Frodo Baggins guy, right? And J. Cole, another rapper, 41 years old. And again, Miss Gillian, happy birthday. Happy birthday in 1915 to the U.S. Coast Guard. The Congress combined the Revenue Cutter Service with the U.S. Life-Saving Service and came up with the Coast Guard. So there you go. Happy birthday, United States Coast Guard. Are you a skier? Today's a big day for you if you're a skier, because today in 1934, the first ski tow rope in the United States, built by Robert Royce, was used for the first time in Woodstock, Vermont. So let me help you back up this hill so you can ski down it again. Happy birthday. Obviously, tow ropes gave way to much bigger chairlifts and all that, but it all started today. And by the way, the family is heading up to Tahoe this weekend. We had friends who invited us up to their cabin this weekend. So on Friday, I'm going to be doing a wake up with Larry, and then the whole family's piling in the car. We're getting the kids out of school early, and we're driving up to Tahoe. So mush. I just basically go right into after ski mode. Après ski, is that what it's called? I just go up there, I start drinking. Little whiskey, little ginger ale, some hot toddies, and I'm just going to bake all day. I'm going to make delicious things for when people come in off the slopes. I am. I'm going to do pulled pork. I'm thinking of doing a pulled pork with like an Asian twist to it, a little umami bomb there. Yeah. I got ideas. Yosh. Thank you, DB. Best voice in Bay Area sports. I mean, why even leave it to Bay Area sports? I think it's just the best voice in sports, but thank you. Thank you very, very much. Oh, the Garwood, Wet Woody. We're going to be at North Star. So I think that's the other side, but thank you. Thank you very much. We're not going to this is going to be like a bunker down type of thing. A bunker down thing. I'm not going to be leaving the cabin, but to go outside and I'm going to have a snowball fight with the kids. That's as far into the weather I'm going to journey. Again, I grew up around snow, oppressive, life-changing, life-altering, happiness-damning snow, to the point where I don't really see snow as fun anymore the way the Californians do. They like they go up and play with snow. Like if I never see another snowflake in my life, that's fine with me. But okay, we're going to go. The kids are going to like it. Fun will be had by all. And I'm going to get drunk, and I'm going to make a good pulled pork sandwich for everybody. Okay, here we go. What else we got going on today? Today in 1958, Gottfried Kirk Christensen, whose father founded the Lego company in Denmark, filed for a Danish patent, which was later granted, which now is a building block that has become hugely popular around the world. But Lego is patented and is one of the most restricted patents there is out there, right? Like, you can't build blocks that join with other Lego blocks without violating their patent. It's a big deal. I watched a documentary on Legos. Their lawyers are swarming around Lego usurpers at all times, as they should be. You got to protect your own, man. Again, Scott in the Bay saying the Bourbon Pub at North Star. Ooh, there's a bourbon pub specifically at North Star? Okay. Now you got my attention. Am I wrong to be excited for the Giants season? Yosh, again, thank you for another super chat today. You are all over the supers this day, Yosh, and I appreciate you for that. No, you are not wrong to be excited the baseball season is coming. What would be wrong is for you to anticipate them having a monster year. But could they be a playoff team again? It's baseball. Yeah, that could happen to anybody. But a team of consequence feels like they're bringing, pop guns and whoopee cushions to a nuclear arsenal that the rest of the NFC West, namely the Dodgers, has. The Dodgers are better. The Padres are better. The Diamondbacks are better. They're only better than the Rockies in their own division. And that's not saying much because the Rockies ain't even trying. So handicap your horse carefully is all I would tell you. Today in 1979, when you used to believe in news that you could trust in, CBS News Sunday Morning debuted with the original host, Charles Kuralt. They ain't making newsmen like Charles Kuralt anymore. He was great. He was warm. He was perfect for that Sunday morning show. I remember being a kid liking Charles Kuralt an awful lot. Finally, in the single biggest but for 9/11, where were you when it happened in my life? Today, in 1986, the Challenger exploded. 73 seconds after taking off from Florida, all 7 astronauts, including an argument that I would make is the most famous teacher in American history. Everyone knows her name, Krista McAuliffe. Krista McAuliffe was the first civilian to ever be allowed into space. She was not an astronaut, but they gave her some training and let her come up. And the fact that that would be the Challenger explosion is just so sad. All the jokes back in the day. What were Krista McAuliffe's last words? What's this button do? There were a lot of Challenger jokes, obviously, because we always, we turn to humor in dark times. I think confronting death with humor is a very natural and healthy thing to do. I want a million jokes told about me at my funeral one day, no doubt. I remember sitting in a lunchroom. A TV was wheeled into the lunchroom. The teacher put the TV on to watch the Challenger launch. We're watching. It explodes. We're all kids. And everyone was like, holy shit. The teacher walks over to the TV, turns it off, and says, unfortunately, there was a small fire on the space shuttle, and let's hope everyone was okay. And I was like, what are you, serious? We all saw what just happened. It doesn't look like anyone is okay. Can you turn that back on? There's more coverage here. And I remember they just turned it off, and me thinking, well, that's unfair. That's unfair. You can't only just tell the story when it ends well. You got to tell the whole story, which brings us right back to Barry Bonds and Bill Belichick not being in the Hall of Fame. There you go. Is there anybody else in the media world linking the Challenger explosion to Bill Belichick's first ballot Hall of Fame snub? That's why you come here. That's why you're on Damon Bruce Plus. That's why you're going to hit like and subscribe for me. Thanks to everyone. What do we got here? Chances that Buster trades for Nico Horner? Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. They're probably done. Enjoy your Harrison Bader. Today feels like this is late to the party for most people, but you can do breakfast for dinner. Today is National Blueberry Pancake Day. I love blueberry pancakes. I'm a blueberry pancake guy, without a doubt. Today is also National Kazoo Day. I like kazoos, but if you give a kazoo to a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, it doesn't take very long to not like kazoos. So we were in a kazoo-laden household that has since become a kazoo-free household. Choices were made. I want to thank Yosh for putting this show on scholarship today with all of his supers. I want to thank Michelle Haberman again for wishing Gillian, such a happy birthday. So many of you did. It is great, great, great to have you here. Thank you for being here. I'll be back live tomorrow, 11 a.m. West Coast time. And then on Friday, we're going to be doing a wake up with Kruger to kind of put a bow on this football week and start looking at what next week on Radio Row is going to be looking like for the channel and the show. I know Larry and I are both going to be down there, so we're going to be doing some fun shows from down there as well. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff from down there. It should be a very good time. I'm going to be up in Tahoe this weekend. That's why there won't be any 11 a.m. show on Friday, but we will be doing Wake Up. So join me then, join me tomorrow, and join me anytime you want. All you got to do is click that video and it starts playing. And that's the beauty of YouTube. You start the show when it works for you. Whenever you can fit it in when it works best for you. In the meantime, thank you so much to Ike. Thank you so much to Sleeper. Thank you to our friends at the Dubliner. Oh, there's one more thing that I absolutely wanted to let you know about. I'm glad that I remembered to do this right here, right now, because if you want to really get excited for the coming baseball season, there might be no better way than to go on Amazon and rent Baseball Mensch, the Marty Lurie story. This is the Marty Lurie documentary that I am proud to have been a small part of. It got narrated by Bob Costas. It has already been shown in the Hall of Fame. It will be shown in the Hall of Fame. And you can get it now on Amazon for $2.99. You can see this story about a beautiful guy who loves baseball and was able to incorporate the passion of his life into what he does for a living after an incredibly successful career as a trial lawyer. I love Marty. I mean, as much as I've ever loved any man I have met in the media, and I completely recommend you watch Baseball Mensch. Spend the $3 to watch that. You'll be happy that you did. It'll make you smile. I promise. If you're a Giants fan, it will make you smile. I promise. And on that note, thank you so much for being a part of this and watching. And I'll just remind you that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he is gone. Happy birthday, honey. She's not going to watch this. No way.